It's been 2 weeks since President-elect Donald Trump defeated Kamala Harris, and while Capitol Hill is getting ready for some bruising confirmation battles, the Democratic Party is starting the long, grueling process of soul-searching to figure out what went wrong and how to move forward. We sat down with three of the most influential African-American women in U.S. politics, the so-called colored girls, who have been at the pinnacle of their party for decades, including ABC News contributor Donna Brazile. What's their prescription for what their party should do next? Take a listen. Take me back to 1988. Michael Dukakis is running for president. You all end up in a room where you post a sign, "Color Girls, we shall not be moved." Explain the backstory of that.
Well, it was an afternoon when the campaign was shifting from the primary into the general election. So you expand the office space and the perimeters by which we all work. And we noticed that on the 9th floor, where all of the senior leadership was designated to serve, there was no room for anyone but the white people. And so we decided that we would take the conference room and we put chairs and tables, and we called it, it was the Harriet Tubman Annex, Sojourner Truth, and then we put under the bottom, "We shall not be moved." And 5 of us went and we sat down and we never moved. That was the place where we held our offices.
Now that this election is behind us, almost 2 weeks behind us, how have you processed the loss?
I don't have any angst about it. You know, I worry about the future of our country. I worry about the future of the world, obviously. But I felt, you know, we left everything on the field in many ways. And it doesn't mean that we don't get up for the next one.
Donna, in your book, Hacks, when you were talking about post-2016 election, you vowed that you were never going to let politics break your heart again. Have you been able to keep that promise?
Yes. And I have learned so much from 2016. And we can go back to 2016 and see some of the same trends that we just experienced in 2024. The fact that we had to battle disinformation, the fact that we had to battle the kind of apathy, the fact that we had to try to enlarge the electorate. My heart's not broken. My spirit is not broken. We have more work to do in terms of winning elections, building coalitions, and making sure we protect every citizen right to participate in the electoral process.
I'm sure you all have seen there was a headline that said how Kamala Harris burned through $1.5 billion in 15 weeks. Do you think that any amount of money could have changed? When you're looking in hindsight now, would the strategy have been different?
I'm glad they said burn through, because if they had burned through and ended up with 500 million left, we would have been really angry.
Yes.
Remember in 2004, there were 15 million left over?
Yes.
We were
Right.
like,
Yes.
Right.
And it showed some innovation, because they were just trying, you know, there was no trail here. There was no path.
No
so
model.
you were just inventing as you go. And quite frankly, you know, you throw things at the wall and it sticks and some doesn't stick. and it's costly when you do that, but they did it.
As Donna says, and Mignon's alluded to, we will know.
Yeah.
we will know.
By and by.
By and by.
Right.
By and by.
When you look at virtually every metric, black voters, female voters, Latino voters, young voters, Joe Biden had higher numbers than Kamala Harris when he ran in 2020. How do you explain that?
You know, people vote for personal reasons. Their personal lives, what they're being affected by. Are they being affected by the cost of eggs, the cost of bacon, the cost of gas? Are they being affected by what's going on in their kids' schools? Are they being affected by what's come through on social media? I don't think any of us should think we can sit here and say, this person voted because I failed to do this, rather than this person voted because they felt they needed this.
She was trying to get to as many people as she could. She had to prepare for a debate. All of these things. Had to prepare for a convention, which the switch came right in the middle of all of this. So I think all of that kind of compounded her victory, or her, if some people call it a defeat, I still feel like she was able to accomplish something that she probably shouldn't have in an ordinary presidential cycle, but I think she still did a remarkable job.
There was an article written in March of 2015 where it said the women, it was talking about you all, the colored girls, still view the largely white, mostly male Democratic political elite as detached from the problems of minorities. Fast forward almost 10 years, and you have, according to the exit polls, a large number of minorities who said that they no longer trust the Democratic Party, especially when it comes to improving the economy. What is the disconnect?
Inflation was the devil we could not bury. It wasn't, look, Joe and Kamala, I believe, they've done a fantastic job in bringing us back from the brink of helping the American people with really good investments in the economy. But we were talking jobs, 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 and the voters were saying cost of living is too high, the rent's too high, the cost of grocery and gas. And I think that's the big disconnect that we could not wrestle with.
Does the Democratic Party need to be rebuilt?
Of course. Whenever you have an electoral loss, you have to look at the carnage of the debris, sift through it, see what worked in North Carolina, where all of the Democrats on the statewide ticket won, but the vice president fell short. We have to look through everything that worked and didn't work. And you know what? This is a party that came back after a 49 state electoral loss in 1984 to electing a black president with over 330 electoral votes in 2008. We're going to learn, and we're going to rebuild, and we're going to be stronger. I have faith.
If you go back and do any research, what you're going to find, especially when you lose, we didn't talk to the working class. Minorities didn't come out. It's the same language, but here's the fundamental difference. Get in the game.
Get in.
The Congress people have more power than we do.
Well,
get in the game. That's all you have to do.
Stay in the fight.
The party doors are open every day. Get in the game.
Donald Trump's cabinet is on track to be the least diverse of this century. Do you have a particular concern for people of color in the next 4 years?
One thing I think that we all grew up with and lived with is we walked into a room, we would notice immediately, immediately, if there were no people of color.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Who's missing?
Who's missing?
Who's missing?
And this is what you hope from people, that they have eyes to see. They have eyes to see.
Listen, Lindsey, it's no secret that the majority of African Americans gave their vote to Vice President Harris. But when you become president, you become president of all the
Americans.
people. Will he see everybody? Or will he just see the segment of people that vote, the 76 million that have voted for him? Well, then you have to take her 70-some million that have voted and decide. He has to make the fundamental decision. Am I going to be the president for all Americans?
Have any of you had a conversation with the vice president subsequent to the election that you can share any tidbit of what she said or what you offered?
I have spoken with her, and I have been remarkably impressed with her resilience and her ability to not drown in herself, but making sure that whatever she decides to do next in her life, she can still be a voice for people that championed her.
There will be young people tomorrow making their announcement to run for Congress because they were inspired by her.
What gives you hope for the Democratic Party?
I go to church every day. I have faith, but it's also, to quote a former boss of mine, I never bet against the American people.
Well, I don't leave home without hope. My faith has sustained me. As I was walking my little dog this morning, I was thinking about my grandmother Frances and how overjoyed she was to get that voter registration card in 1965. That memory of Grandma Frances with her voter registration card gives me hope.
I think what gives me hope, Lindsey, is I just see the future. You know, I had a former boss that always said to us, don't look at today, look at 5 years from now. And 5 years from now, you're going to see new voices.
Our thanks to the ladies for that conversation.